Alright guys, welcome back to the channel where today we're breaking down the brand new trailer for WWE 2K22 which aired at SummerSlam, plus we're also going over some additional details including confirmation that the game won't be releasing in its usual release window as it's instead set for a March release where it will be tied in to next year's WrestleMania. Before we get into any of those details though, if you're new to the channel and you want to stay up to date with all the latest news on WWE 2K22, please do hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss out on future videos. So with that out of the way, let's start to break down this new trailer, starting out with the opening shot of the Thunderdome era SmackDown arena, which much like the past footage that we've seen, it doesn't feature a virtual crowd. Instead, it features an actual crowd, which now that we know that the game is set to launch around WrestleMania next year, it does make more sense, as obviously the crowd are now back. The first superstar that we see is again Rey Mysterio, who was the first superstar shown off in the teaser trailer that we've seen at WrestleMania. However, this time we see Rey sporting a different attire, with this attire featuring an entrance shirt that wasn't present previously. Now, I don't want to look into this too much, as the change in attire could just be a case of changes that have been made to the game since that original teaser. However, it could also hint at multiple attires for Mysterio, perhaps even part of a 2K showcase. Switching to some in-ring footage, here we have a close-up shot of Sheamus as he delivers a backbreaker to Ricochet in the Raw arena, before we then switch back to Rey Mysterio as we see more of his entrance animation, with this animation being the same animation that was showed off earlier in the year by 2K Dev, albeit this time fully textured. Going back to Ricochet, here we see him making his entrance, where we can see him sporting this yellow entrance attire, before we then switch to this next shot of him performing a superhero landing, which confirms his red and black one and only trunks. Up next we have one of the most impressive updates as we get a look at Bayley's new heel model, as we see Bayley lay out Carmella with a big clothesline, with this footage showing off a much improved version of Bayley, who was actually the first superstar to be scanned for the game as part of 2K's new scanning tech, and that's definitely made for a big difference. From Bayley we switch over to Finn Balor as we see Finn here making his entrance, with this shot really showing off just how clear the Trons are this year, as the Trons that were featured in 2K20 were really pixelated. However, these Trons look to be much higher quality. As for Finn, I think he's looking pretty good. The beard does look a little bit off, however I would imagine that this looks a lot better once it's close up. Now comes the time to acknowledge the head of the table as we have our first look at the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, who also looks set to feature a brand new model, with this version of Reigns featuring updated Trons and his golden gauntlet. The next entrance that we see is a quick glimpse of The Miz, as we have Miz sporting a black and purple attire with what also appears to be a brand new model, and that's something that you can notice for a lot of stars, as around 85% of the roster have been rescanned and now feature new models. Another of those new models is Rhea Ripley, who we see here making her entrance, with this shot really showing the difference in her face, as it looks completely different to how she looked in 2K20. However, she does appear to be slightly outdated, as this version of Rhea looks to be from her time in NXT before she made the switch to the main roster. Up next we have Shinsuke Nakamura, who we see here making his iconic entrance, where he can be seen sporting an attire from July last year when he was part of a tag team with Cesaro. Switching back to the Tribal Chief, here we see a shirtless Roman posing on the stage, with the update to Roman's model looking to be a big improvement over recent games, as Roman was someone that I thought needed a big update, so it's good to see that we finally have that. As for legends, the first legend to be shown off is the monster Kane, as we see Kane grabbing Shelton Benjamin as he sets him up for a big chokeslam. We then switch to another legend in the form of Goldberg, who we see here deliver a big spear to the Dirty Dogs Dolph Ziggler, who can be seen sporting a black and white attire with a USA headband, which is taken from July 2020. This next piece of footage appears to take place outside of the ring, perhaps on the stage, as we have Bobby Lashley in his Hurt Business attire delivering a Dominator to Kofi Kingston, who appears to be wearing his Ninja Turtles tribute attire that we seen him wear back in October of last year. Finally, we have this awesome shot of Drew's new entrance motion, where we see him plunge his family sword Angela into the ramp, which in turn sets off his pyro. From there, the trailer then cuts to the WWE 2K22 logo before revealing the new release window for the game, which is set to take place during WrestleMania season in March 2022. Now obviously this release window isn't going to be to everyone's liking, especially after we've already waited 2 years since the release of 2K20. However, the good news is that this release date isn't a case of the game being delayed or suffering problems. Instead, this change was made to tie the game in with WrestleMania to help capitalise on the momentum that leads into that show, which, to be fair, it does make sense. It's also a period where there's little change in WWE in terms of sets changing designs or superstars being released, therefore hopefully this change leads to the game being more up to date when it releases rather than seeing it heavily outdated once WWE do their spring cleaning. So that's a breakdown of the trailer and the reasons for the change in the release window. I think the trailer looks awesome. I'm really impressed at the visuals and just how much better the models look, as I wasn't really expecting too much of a difference after seeing that original Ray trailer, yet it seems as though the game has really kicked on since then, especially when it comes to entrances, as the depth in field, the blur, the fog, the pyro, it all comes together to make a stunning change. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these changes look during gameplay, as if the matches look as good as the entrances appear, then this could be the best looking WWE game that we've ever seen. So that's my breakdown of the trailer and a few thoughts on it, but I would love to know what you make of it and what you think of that new release window, so please do let me know your thoughts in the comments and stay tuned to the channel for more coverage in I guess what is now the road to WrestleMania. Until next time though, thank you so much for watching this video, have yourself an awesome day and I'll catch you later.